Good morning, sir. Good morning, classmates. So, for today, me and my groupmate, Chess Kanikolian will be discussing fertilization. So, what is fertilization? Fertilization refers to the union of a haploid oocyte with a haploid spermatozoa to produce a diploid zygote. The key concepts for this topic are the oocyte and the spermatozoa. Oocyte is the envelope by a zona pellucida and corona radiata at ovulation, and the spermatozoa is the male sex cells. What is uterine tube? Uterine tube has infundibulum, which is the region closest to the ovary. Uterine tube is funnel-shaped and its free edge possesses regular processes known as fimbriae, which play an important role in the capture of the oocyte's ovulation. Before spermatozoa can fertilize oocyte, they must first undergo biochemical and physiological modifications within the female reproductive tract. This is now called decapacitation, which involves the removal of cholesterol and many glycoproteins from the surface of the spermatozoon, resulting in increased fluidity of the cell membrane. Capacitation, which commences in the uterus, is completed in the isthmus. The spermatozoon releases degradative enzymes that allows the sperm cell to penetrate the zona pellucida. This is now called the acrosomal reaction. So now I will discuss to you the process of fertilization. Fertilization begins with gamete fusion. The fusion of the spermatozoon with the secondary oocyte takes place in the uterine tube, near the ovary. Uterine tube has three parts that was discussed earlier: the infundibulum, which is the region closest to the ovary. It is a funnel-shaped organ, and its free edge possesses regular fimbriae, which play an important role in the capture of the oocyte at ovulation. The infundibulum is continuous with a tubular portion, which is divided into two regions of comparable length. The proximal region, where fertilization takes place, is the ampulla, and the narrower terminal segment, which opens into the uterus, is the isthmus. In the part the spermatozoon and the oocyte plasma membranes will fuse, it is called as the secondary oocyte, where meiosis completes. Then, the oocyte precludes fusion with other sperm by immediately cancelling its membrane potential, and then by denaturing its zona pellucida with the use of an enzymes released by exocytosis from oocyte cytoplasmic granules. Afterwards, the male and female haploid chromoplane will make contact. They will lose their nuclear membranes and begin mitosis. Take note that mitosis begins 12 hours after sperm fusion and DNA synthesis takes place before mitosis. And for the last, fertilization ends with the initiation of zygote cell division. It will be the start of cleavage.
After we have discussed the topic of fertilization, yung process niya, and yung mga nangyayari sa oocyte and spermatozoon before sila mag-fertilize, we will going to move forward on the topics and concepts related to it. So let's start with polyspermy. Polyspermy is the entry of more than one spermatozoon into a mammalian oocyte. A condition termed polyspermy invariably leads to the death of an embryo. So para maiwasan yung death ng embryo, ang natural reaction ng oocyte is the zona pellucida, which was discussed earlier. Then yung isa pa niyang barrier to prevent polyspermy is by natural autonomical barriers of the female reproductive tract, the cervix, and the uterotubral junction. As a result, hundreds of spermatozoa reach the site of fertilization rather than millions or billions, initially released into the female reproductive tract. Reduced number of spermatozoa decrease the probability of polyspermy. In short, merong mga barriers para ma-prevent yung polyspermy at hindi nga mamatay yung embryo. So, moving forward, let's go on to the comparative fertilization rates. Fertilization rate refers to the percentage of oocyte released at ovulation which are fertilized following natural or artificial insemination. Meron tayong dalawang species na ipagko-compare ng fertilization rate. First is the polytopus species. Sila yung mga nanganganak ng marami at a time. Kagaya ng mga cats, pigs, dogs, di ba marami silang anak sa isang anakan lang. Yung fertilization rate nila following natural mating nagre-range ng 85 to 100%. While yung mga monotopus or yung isa lang yung anak like the cattle, the sheep, the goat, yung mga ganun, yung isa lang yung anak nila. Nagre-range naman yung fertilization rate nila to 85 to 95. Tapos yung mga horses, ang reported na fertilization rate nila ay excess of 80. Okay, next. Forward to sex determination. In mammals, half of the spermatozoa contain an X chromosome and half contain a Y chromosome. Unlike spermatozoa, oocyte only contain X chromosome. An embryo formed by fertilization of an oocyte by an X-bearing spermatozoon will be a female, while an oocyte which is fertilized by a Y-bearing spermatozoon will form a male. So we all are familiar with this na yung babae, XX lang yung chromosome nila, while yung lalaki is XY. So yung magiging yung magiging sex ng isang offspring ay magdedepend kung anong bearing ng spermatozoon na dala ng male chromosome. Kung may dala siyang X spermatozoon, edi magiging female. Pagkadala naman niya pag na-fertilize niya sa oocyte is Y-bearing spermatozoon, edi magiging male. So, ganun sa mammals. However, in avian species, spermatozoa contain Z chromosome only, while oocyte contain either C or W chromosome. The designation of XY in mammals and the designation of ZW in birds is conventional to facilitate genetic distinction. The ZZ or ZW designation is also used in fish, amphibians, and reptiles. So, ang pinagkaiba lang dito sa mga avian species or yung mga birds is that yung ginagamit nila instead of XX like in mammals or XY, ang ginagamit nila is ZW tapos oocyte siya. Ang determinant dito sa kanila is yung oocyte, hindi yung spermatozoon kung anong bearing ng spermatozoon, hindi dun nagde-defend kung ano yung magiging sex ng offspring. Ang ginagamit dito is yung sa oocyte, tsaka itong type ng sex determination na to ay ginagamit din sa mga fish, amphibians, and reptiles. Process of chromosomal determination of sex is referred to as genotypic sex determination, as the sex of an individual is determined by genes of the sex chromosomes. So, yun yung tawag dito sa process na to kasi genes yung ginagamit. Next. Okay, next. Let's go on to the types of fertilization. Meron tayong two types of fertilization. First is the external and the internal. Yung external, a mode of reproduction in which a male organism's sperm fertilize a female organism's egg outside of the female body. Usually, yung mga ganito sa mga tubig siya. Yung mga fish, frogs, ganon. However, yung internal fertilization naman, sa loob naman siya ng body ng female. Ito din yung sa humans, sa dogs, sa cats. Kailangan nasa loob yung fertilization mangyari. So, prepare kaming video kasi hindi siya nagpe-play dito sa type ng gantong recordings. Isisend ko na lang sa inyo. Yung video ng external fertilization, kung paano siya mangyayari para mas maintindihan nyo. Short lang siya, mga 1 minute lang. Ito siya. Kasi ayaw niya mag-play eh. Hindi ko alam kung bakit. Moving forward, babalikan natin ulit yung mga na-discuss earlier and summarize it into 5 lang. So again, yung meaning of fertilization is the fusion of spermatozoa and oocyte and subsequent completion of meiosis, which is followed by the first meiotic division. Tapos yung capacitation, nagre-refer siya sa biochemical and psychological modification to spermatozoa within the female reproductive tract, which rendered them capable of fertilization. Nababawasan yung mga proteins niya para mas okay siyang makalangoy. Karoon din ng acrosomal reaction sa uterine tube in which yung spermatozoa nag-exhibit siya ng mga enzymes to penetrate the zona pellucida. Moving forward, so na-ovulate na yung oocyte and dapat isa lang siya and ma-prevent dapat yung polyspermy kaya nagkakaroon ng anatomical barriers yung female reproductive tract tsaka meron din tinatawag na zona pellucida para hindi mamatay yung embryo. Lastly, yung internal and external fertilization which was discussed earlier. Usually, yung mga mammals at avian species, internal yung fertilization. Pero yung mga aquatic animals, externally sila mag-fertilate. Like yung mga fish. Ganyan. So, yun lang. Thank you!